Hi,
Hi,
YouTube. I'm Jolynn,
I'm Ken.
and welcome to our new adventure. So Ken and I have watched a lot of YouTube. A lot of YouTube.
Maybe too much YouTube.
I mean, basically, we've watched all of YouTube, even those weird, like...
You have watched all of YouTube. I haven't gone that far yet.
Well, you just out me in front of everybody. I'm the obsessive one, and Ken just likes some videos.
Well, it's also unique because we have different reasons that we turn to YouTube. I
That's
turn to YouTube mostly for entertainment and for a way to pass the time, almost like I would television.
And I do that too, but I also go to YouTube to learn new things, to do research, to get an idea about other people's lives. I'm also a writer, so I kind of like to see how other people are living because it's inspiring, and sometimes it's a little weird, but I like weird, so that's good.
And I do it for entertainment. I mean, normally it's something pertaining to some kind of hobby or something that I have, but...
Wouldn't you say, though, that part of why you turn to YouTube is also research?
There have been times that I have gone to YouTube for research, looking up how to fix an electrical socket, fix a light switch, things of that sort, or even...
Install a ceiling fan?
Install a ceiling fan. I speak from experience when I say that.
But one of the things that I have found on YouTube recently is that there's a kind of lack of voice from people like us. You know, I think there are a couple reasons that a lot of people go to YouTube. And certainly the main thing is for entertainment. But I think another reason that people go to YouTube is to, like myself, learn about different people's lifestyles. Whether it's because they are in that lifestyle themselves, or they're thinking about getting into that kind of lifestyle, or they are not at all a part of that lifestyle and they would like to learn more about it. And one of the things that we've noticed recently is that the people who are living our kind of lifestyle aren't necessarily represented on YouTube. And right now you're thinking that we're like polyamorous, or that we have an open marriage, or that we're way into BDSM. No, that's not the case. We are plus size and TTCing, and I think one of the things that's been really frustrating for me as somebody who likes to do research about things that we are getting into is that not only are there no books for plus size TTCers, but there are also no real representatives on YouTube for plus size TTCers. Now I'm not saying that they don't exist. I just think that there's a really big dearth of representatives on YouTube. And I think that that's one of the main reasons that we decided to start our channel. Another reason we decided to start our channel is because even if we don't get any subscribers, that's fine. If you're here and you're subscribed, that's wonderful and we appreciate it. But even more than that, we really would like to have an account of our lives in 10, 20, 30 years. And to be able to look back on these days and say, wow, when we first got married, we just got married about 7 months ago now.
7 months-ish. It's October.
It's almost exactly 7 months. And so we're just starting out in our marriage, and we would love to be able to look back on this time before hopeful kids, before we get too much older or grayer. and to be able to look back on this time and remember it with a visual aid rather than just say, I know we did that. What year did we do that? I have a terrible memory and I remember very little of last year, much less my childhood. So the idea of a video of these days is just really appealing to me. We are planning on having a multi-generational household. My parents are moving to the town in which Ken and I now live. Hopefully within the next year. We very much miss. We lived with them before we moved here, and we would very much like to live with them again. And
Absolutely.
They would very much like to live with us. So hopefully within the next year they're going to be up here. My parents are kind of weird and crazy. So I'm very much looking forward to you meeting them, and with them being in the vlogs. My mom is so psyched. And so when that happens, we're going to be a multi-generational household. And that's another demographic that I don't see really represented on YouTube. So we're excited about that.
We really, if for no other reason, want to document this time. This time has been the past 4 months, actually, have been kind of crazy and chaotic, with me finding a new job up here and moving up here. Actually spending a month away from Joe was pretty rough. But
no,
now,
he says pretty rough. I basically didn't get out of bed. That was a terrible, terrible month.
But now that we have her up here with me, and we're getting everything squared away and taken care of, I think that this is going to be an exciting and amazing adventure.
It is. I mean, everything with you is an adventure.
I'm the one that's supposed to make the corny remarks.
I know. So, what do we plan on doing with the channel? Well, some talking to you like this. Some day in the life kind of stuff where you just come along with us when we do things. I'm probably going to cook with you at least a little bit. We're going to be putting vlogs out on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. Sundays will just be kind of stuff we've been doing around the house and things we're doing out. We're going out and doing.
Tuesdays
are going to be a little different. They're going to be our TTC day, and those are the days that I'm going to talk to you about what we're doing to improve ourselves, and to improve our lifestyle, and to improve our chances of having a baby, hopefully. I will be talking about some books that I've been reading, and kind of giving you some reviews on some fertility and TTC books that are available. So, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, we will see you here on the channel. Fridays, like today, we are going to do top 5 lists to help you get
top 5 lists
to help you get to know us just a little bit better. And we thought that today, our first vlog, it made the most sense to do the top 5 YouTube channels, our top 5 favorite YouTube channels. And you have a top 5 list, and I have a top 5 list, and I guess we'll just talk about.
Well, I think that before we get into our lists, we should each pull up our honorable mention and mention those.
We can do that at the end.
You want to do that at the end?
No,
okay.
no.
We'll do honorable mention at the end.
Let's do it now.
You're so problematic.
I'm complicated.
Okay, well, my honorable mention is actually a channel that unfortunately is no longer creating content, which is why I have it as my honorable mention. It is called the PBS Game Show. You can find it by putting in PBS, the word game, followed by a / and the word show.
I'll put all of the links down in the comment in the description below.
The reason that I enjoy this channel so much is I am a big gamer, both board games and video games. But this channel that I stumbled across, oddly enough, because of a Monopoly title that they had, something having to do with Monopoly and the history of the game of Monopoly. And I started watching it and watching more and more, and it started asking these very interesting questions, like, does The Legend of Zelda cash in on a person's nostalgia, and is that what makes it so popular? Things of that sort. So definitely give them a look. It's a bummer that they're no longer around, but they really are a great show.
And you said they have a lot of content.
There is quite a bit of content there. They just
creating
ended
new content.
They just ended recently, so within the past 6 months, I believe.
How many videos would you say they have?
At least 100 to 150.
Okay,
videos.
so there's actually some pretty good content there.
Yeah, there's a good back catalog.
Okay. And I am a rule breaker, so I have 2 honorable mentions. But they're kind of thematically linked in that they're my guilty pleasures. One are the channels Rob Dyke and Kaylee Elise. They do videos on things like serial killers and unsolved mysteries. I have a huge interest in murder mysteries. So the fact that they do videos like that is kind of.
And they don't have the creepy voices like the guy from Unsolved
Yeah,
Mysteries did. Did they? Do they?
Who is that guy?
I don't remember his name, but I'm sure that you out there might know who he is and can answer that question for us.
Yeah. You said you had nightmares about.
Yes. His voice was more terrifying than any unsolved mystery that he ever spoke about, and I would have nightmares about his voice.
But one of the reasons that I really like them is that they're not over dramatic and they don't add a lot of unnecessary drama. They just tell you the stories and with the hope of actually helping the people involved in these stories, which I really think is admirable. Particularly Kaylee Elise, you can really tell how empathetic she is to the people in the situations that she's talking about. So I really appreciate that. My other guilty pleasure is pimple popping videos, and let me tell you, they get me to sleep. There is something so satisfying about, I don't know what it is about pimple popping videos, but there's something so satisfying about seeing them just be so clean at the end. No, I'm particularly like, obviously Dr. Sandra Lee or Dr. Pimple Popper. She's more well known on YouTube. And Lisa or Nilsa Brown and Josefa M. Reina. I think she's in Spain. She is like the pimple popping goddess. I tell you, there have been times I've watched her video. I'm like, Josefa, you've got to stop on that. There's nothing left for you to get out. And then all of a sudden, she somehow finds this new trove of whatever. Right. So our top 5 lists are never going to be in any particular order unless we say so, because I have a hard time making like definitive, like saying definitively, oh, this is absolutely my top 1. Because in 10 minutes I will have changed my mind.
Yes, everything here is subject to change or our terrible memory.
Yes, that's true.
I think that's the better way to say it.
Because there's always that one you forget. You're like, oh shoot, why didn't I put that was like integral to my personhood, into my development of a person. How did I not include this thing? So, yes, our terrible memory is taken into account with these lists. That's why it's in no particular order and subject to change given mood and memories. So
would you like to start?
Yes. So number 5
or number 1, depending on how you count.
I said it's 5, so let's count at 5. I'm going to go with one of my first, I guess, lifestyle vlogging experiences, and that would be Cullen and Katie. Some of you may know them. They started on YouTube, I think, back in 2011, so they've been going for about 6 years. They started they didn't have any kids, and I think they started as a TTC kind of vlog, and they did and still do daily vlogs. And they are just so genuine and real. And I just really enjoyed looking at them and seeing how they live their lives. And just the fun that they had and the way that they, you could see how much they loved each other and how much they love life. Still to this day, every time Ken and I go to Target, I sing the song that Cullen sings he did this 365, or he challenged himself to do the same thing every day for a full year, and that was go to Target and take a picture with the big red balls outside of Target, and he sings a song every time he goes. It's I see a big red ball, and every time Ken and I go to Target, I sing the song, and so that is all thanks to Cullen and Katie. So they are my top. They're my number 5.
My number 5 has to be probably one of the newer channels that I follow on YouTube, and that is the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast. Several years ago, they started out as just a board game podcast where they would come out bi-weekly. They've now expanded and grown to where they have a content coming out every week as far as a podcast, but they're now expanding even further and going into YouTube. Just 4 or 5 crazy guys who several years ago decided they wanted to start a motorcycle group, a motorcycle club.
Motorcycle club.
But their wives would have none of that. So rather than start a motorcycle club, they decided, well, we're going to start a board game podcast because board game podcasts and motorcycle clubs are one and the same. No, not really. But
just so you know, if you wanted to start a motorcycle club, you can only start it if I'm in it.
I don't like motorcycles. I don't trust them.
So can I start a motorcycle club?
If you'd like.
You heard it here, folks. If I ever want to start a motorcycle club, you're invited, and I'm allowed to do it.
But they're very fun. They're very quirky. Their podcast is amazing, and they've just started with their YouTube channel. So there's not a lot of content up there, and it is a lot of like reviews of certain games, but they're very entertaining. With that, we move on to our number 4.
Number 4!
My number 4 is a YouTuber that goes by the name of Gaijin Goomba. I absolutely love this guy. I love the content that he puts out because it's more or less the cultural influence for video games and where video games pull their influences from, whether it being like Bowser from the Super Mario Brothers actually being influenced by an ancient Japanese dragon god or something similar to that. He's got such a great way of presenting everything, and he and his wife Aki are just, they're so much fun and they're so entertaining to watch.
My number 4 is a newer channel for me, but it's again a couple that is kind of going through some things that they're like a little bit further along in their journey of having a child than Ken and I are. We are just starting out with the TTC process and figuring out fertility and all of that stuff. And they are 7 years into their quest to be parents. And they are now working on adopting. Oh, I forgot to say, it's Derek and Liza. That's the channel. It's Derek and Liza. They are 7 years into their quest to have a child and to be parents, and they are now looking into adoption. Their journey has been so heartbreaking to watch. They've had several failed adoption matches in the last couple of months, and they're such gentle, sweet, kind, forgiving people that just exudes through their videos, and the way that they're capable of loving one another and loving the birth moms that they are matched with, even after the birth moms choose to parent. And it's really inspiring to watch them. Heartbreaking, like I said, and you just wish for the best for them. You just want them to be parents because you know how much not only they want it and how much love they have to give a child, but also because you just want what they want. You know, you want them to have the thing that they want, and that more than anything is to be parents. So. But I watch them because they're inspiring, really. That idea that should things not work out in terms of having a child, they never wavered. They said, you know, we're going to be parents, and that doesn't have to be our biological child. It's, you know, it can be our child is our child no matter where they come from. So it's a beautiful thing to watch. It's a inspiring thing, and hopefully in the future it's going to soon it's going to be a wonderful and beautiful thing to watch. So that's my number 4 is Derek and Liza. Number 3
Number 3 is our crossover.
Yes, this is the one on our list that we share together, and I think it's because
because we found it together.
We found it together. It's the one that we kind of found at the same time.
It's this couple out in California.
Yes, I think they're based in San Diego.
And they are the Crane couple.
Julius and Brittany.
Brittany, there we go.
Brittany.
We actually found them because as much as we love playing video games and board games at home, we also love going out and going to arcades. Whether it be at an amusement park, or at Dave & Buster's, or just an arcade in a mall.
I think every trip we've ever gone on together, we have found an arcade to go to and to play ticket games and things like that. We just love... We're basically big kids, let me be honest.
And, yeah, we are. And we started finding YouTubers who were doing this, and we stumbled across several, and we didn't really like the people or their personalities.
The way they represented or they presented themselves, or their attitudes towards people around them, or to the establishments that they were in. They seemed somewhat disrespectful or arrogant, or even just sometimes a little cruel to the people. Like sometimes they had fans come up to them and they were really just rude to them.
Yeah, they were just unpleasant.
And then we found Derek. Then we found Julius and
Brittany. And you can tell first and foremost that they love what they're doing. They love going and playing these Crane games, and not even just Crane games. They do ticket games as well.
Yeah.
But not more than they love playing these games. I think that this is where we come in as well. They love playing these games together.
Yeah, you can tell that they genuinely just love having fun together and being together. And the thing that they love to do together is arcade games. They just came back from a trip to Japan.
Yeah, their Japan series, which you can find on their YouTube channel, is amazing.
Yeah.
All over Japan.
All over Japan. And all over Japan in arcades. I don't think they saw much of anything except for the inside of arcades in Japan.
Go to Disney.
They did go to Disney. And
which...
I think that they went to a couple of different shrines and things like that, which is really cool. But
yeah.
they spent a lot of time in arcades, which I actually think, is absolutely indicative of their relationship and of their enjoyment of arcades and arcade games. But it also shows how dedicated and appreciative of their fans they are, because you know that the way that when you're watching, you know that one of the reasons they're playing all these games is because they want to show their viewers, their subscribers, the thing that they're tuning in for. So they just seem like again, I think that the theme running throughout most of our top 5 lists is that the content creators seem like incredibly genuine people who are really just enjoying the thing that they're doing, and that's absolutely true of the Crane couple.
And with that, I think we're on to number 2.
Number 2.
My number 2 is, again, going into my board game, we'll call it obsession, I think, at this point. And that would be the Dice Tower. The Dice Tower was one of the very first podcasts that I ever came across that had to do with board games and card games, and especially the people who play them. But they've also expanded into YouTube, and now they're doing everything from top 5 lists to they have a weekly show that they put out called Board Game Breakfast, where they just have different little, I don't even know the word that I'm thinking of. They have different contributors that come on and do little
segments.
There's the word. But yes, there's a lot of... Bird is the word.
Grease is the word.
Oh, we always argue about this. But yes, so my number 2 pick, the Dice Tower.
And I actually really like the Dice Tower too. Ken introduced me to them. And I think when you introduced them to me...
The can of worms that I opened.
Oh my gosh, the hours I spent watching top 10 lists with Tom and Sam and Z. I never agree with Sam. I rarely agree with, I sometimes agree with Tom. And I don't like the kind of games that typically Z likes, but my gosh.
Z Garcia is your guy.
He's my man. Other than this guy, I mean.
I would get texts at work, or we would be talking, and she would start talking about the boys, and I'm like, what boys? What boys? Oh, the Dice Tower boys.
I have a couple of groups of boys. Like, the guys over at Sorted Food are the boys, and the guys at Dice Tower are the guys, and he gets them confused sometimes.
Yeah, I do.
I have the guys at Dice Tower and the boys at Sorted Food, and yeah.
And then there's these other two guys that you're going to talk about right now.
What do I have? Oh, okay. My number 2. Oh my gosh. So going along with the theme of obsessively watching past content, like content that is years old, we watched an episode of Tabletop with Will Wheaton, and on one of the episodes he played the game Concept with 3 guys, 2 of whom are Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning, and neither Ken nor I really had any experience with them. But then, so we decided to look up the channel, and oh my gosh, those guys are hilarious. I really love the fact that they've been best friends since they were little kids.
Like 3 years old. Something like that.
So they've been friends for like 10 years now. So 30 some years they've been friends, and now they're just doing what they love together, which is entertaining people and having fun and doing absolutely ridiculous stuff, like things like Will It Taco, and putting the weirdest and quite frankly disgusting things in taco shells and deciding whether or not it's edible, and let's face it, most of the time it's not.
Or dressing up in a suit made out of carpet and having their kids come on and just turn the entire suit into a giant mess.
To see if it will stain.
And to see if the stain will come out.
I think one of my favorite episodes... Oh, yeah. One of my favorite episodes is the one where they play with Nerf guns together.
I remember the Nerf gun episode.
I die. Okay? I laughed so hard, and I continue to laugh every time I watch that episode. But when we found them, I just watched them obsessively. Yeah. They have several years of
daily content.
Of daily content. They post Monday through Friday.
They actually had a TV show at one point too, didn't they?
They did. They had a TV show. Yeah. I absolutely love Rhett and Link over at Good Mythical Morning, and I can absolutely recommend them if you're looking just to like have some fun and to turn off for a little while. So
onward and upward to number 1. What's your number 1, Joe?
My number 1 is probably the channel that got me into YouTube the earliest and the most. It's the channel that I think probably started to introduce me to the idea that YouTube could be something different and could be a place where I could find my people, I guess, and that is Geek and Sundry. Mm-hmm. Initially with the series Tabletop with Will Wheaton. Yeah,
if you are a fan of board games, or if you want to get more into the board game hobby, Will Wheaton's Tabletop from Geek and Sundry is an excellent gateway. He not only does he play the games, but he teaches you the games, and he brings in all of his nerd celebrity friends.
It's a lot of fun. They have so much fun playing the game, and there's this thing called the Tabletop Effect, where you watch them play these games and you immediately want to go out and buy the games that they're playing because they have so much fun. And I think we actually own
quite a few,
good percentage of the games that they've played on Tabletop, and they are fun. And it was watching Tabletop specifically and Geek and Sundry in general. I definitely started to see how I could find people on YouTube or content creators that were creating content for nerds like me. They were also doing things early on in Geek and Sundry, like They did The Guild.
The Guild.
The Guild was one of those things where, like, I think a lot of people, it was one of the first times they realized that you could create more professional level content for YouTube.
And The Guild went on for quite a while, too.
It went on for 6 seasons?
No, not that much. I think it was 4, wasn't it?
Okay. Yeah.
4 or 5. No, actually, thinking about it, I think it did go 6 seasons. I think you are right. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. Don't look at me in that tone of face. But there's so much content out there with Geek and Sundry, whether it be The Guild, or Tabletop, or Signal Boost, or The Flog, or Will Wheaton's Not the Flog. There were even a few episodes of that at one point.
Yep.
There's so much out there with Geek and Sundry, and it actually did make my short list.
I think I'm a little disappointed with their more recent
Exodus to
yeah,
Twitch.
Their move to Twitch. I don't think it's as user friendly as obviously YouTube is, and the way you can't access or have easy access to past episodes the way you do on YouTube. I'm definitely the kind of person who binge watches things, and because I don't have, like, if I find a channel or a show that I really like, I would like to be able to go back and watch all of those episodes, as many as I can get. So that move to Twitch has really changed the feel of Geek and Sundry for me.
And the content as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they focus a lot on Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games now, which is still great.
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like they've sort of maybe a little bit abandoned the YouTube channel in favor of Twitch, which I understand. I mean, I'm not at all faulting them for that, because I understand that they're looking to be
better.
To be better, yeah. I mean, we're always all looking to be better, and they thought that this was the move for them, and that's great. I just wish they hadn't kind of left YouTube so drastically and
abruptly.
So.
My number 1. Actually, I'm cheating on this one too. It's actually 2 channels, but they are both run by the same person by the name of Matt Pat.
Matt Pat?
They are the Theorist
Matt Pat, if
channels.
you're out there, I'm pretty sure we're meant to be best friends.
We are. We really are. But he has 2 channels out there. I just generally call them the Theorist channels because he has one for both video games called The Game Theory, or The Game Theorists, and one for television, movies, and even YouTube. Now, he's done a couple of YouTube episodes called Film Theory. And he takes a more scientific and analytical approach to all things video games. Whether it be, would you actually survive a leap of faith in the Assassin's Creed games? Or the long and somewhat exhausting canon and mythology behind Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh my god, the number of videos.
There's so many videos that he's put out there, and he is an amazing individual. So that's...
He's a lot of fun. And so smart.
He is.
If you are at all interested in the theory behind video games, or the diving into the history or the mythos of different worlds, whether in video games or in movies or TV, I absolutely would recommend checking him out.
I think Matt was another one that I introduced you to, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yep. I'm not super interested in a lot of video games. I like watching Ken play video games. Particularly Breath of the Wild right now. We're a little obsessive.
Just a little bit.
But I love watching his episodes on Game Theory just because he's so clever and funny about the way he puts his videos together. They're very entertaining. Whether you're super into video games or not, I enjoyed them. So.
Oh, I think that's about it.
Yep, that's it for this one. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If there are any top 5 lists that you would like to see us do in the future, make sure you comment down below with those. And we will see you on Sunday.
We'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Ken McNabb, you just finished vlogging your first vlog. What are you going to do now?
I'm gonna eat this chip. Then I want to play Breath of the Wild.